The Honourable Member from Rustic Emerald, seconding the motion.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I really am happy to rise and second this motion and support this motion on Pharmacy Plus. Of course, moved by my honourable colleague from Charlottetown Winslow. I want to thank him for bringing it forward, the government whip. So as we know, Madam Speaker, this motion aims to encourage the government and the Department of Health and Wellness to continue expanding and improving the Pharmacy Plus program that was introduced in the fall of 2022. Looking at the text of the motion, we want the Assembly to endorse this program, and we want to encourage the government to explore other innovative measures to improve access to health services for islanders, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that later. So, Madam Speaker, since the introduction of this program, it has only evolved and grown into something much more accessible and modernized. And today the program supports over 35 common ailments and out of over 60 pharmacies in our province, all the way from Tignish to Summerside, Kensington to Charlottetown, Stratford to Surrey. So 60 pharmacies province-wide can diagnose and treat 35 common ailments. And this is huge, exactly for the reasons outlined in the motion, because this directly addresses the bottlenecks we have to people who are trying to access our walk-in clinics, or even worse, our emergency departments to get help. Now they can go to the pharmacy instead and leave those walk-in clinics and emergency departments for people with true emergencies, especially emergency departments. So, Madam Speaker, I've watched this government and the Minister of Health and Wellness answer questions concerning the state of healthcare in our province, and equally, I have seen the many programs and initiatives that have been put into action in the past 5 years. But Pharmacy Plus, and I want to give credit to the former Minister of Health for all the great work he did, and the one before him, because this really is a team effort. And I mean, you can go back and I'll even go back further, prior to 2019, and the member from O'Leary, Inverness. I mean, he was part of what we built. I'm not sure if the innovative side was quite as strong, but maybe he'll speak. I do recall when Robert Mitchell was Minister of Health, and in 2018 he brought in the Maple service and piloted it up in Alberton. That, to me, that was a massive step forward, and of course is here today. And I don't mean to take away from the member, Madam Speaker, from Malaria Inverness, you know. But Pharmacy Plus really is one of the most impactful and innovative programs to be created in our province recently. And I'm just so excited to watch it to grow and see the positive impact that it's had. But as I mentioned, this motion, as my colleague has said as well, is to encourage the government to explore other innovative measures to improve access to health services for island residents. And I really think the Pharmacy Plus program can be integrated with some of the other new initiatives that we have in the province, or some of the initiatives that have expanded and grown, like Maple. So, for example, Pharmacy Plus is getting traction, people are going there, but it can't help everybody. We're talking about 35 common ailments. Imagine if at a pharmacy there was a room where people could go in and have a little bit of help. It wouldn't have to be a medical professional, someone who could log them into a computer and help them connect through Maple to try and access the care they need. Because as we've heard, the mover of the motion said, you know, there are people who don't have high-speed internet at home, who aren't comfortable using computers, especially our seniors. And so if we had that service integrated at our pharmacies, which are across 60 different communities, that could be a spot where they could go to make that happen. And that's something I would love to see the Department of Health and Wellness continue to push for. I think pharmacies would love it, because it would have more people coming in, and it would help them increase the traffic in their area. And of course, we know pharmacies aren't just about healthcare; they're about all kinds of products and services. So this integration and Maple, I think, is also just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to virtual care and I think which could really be remote examinations, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, Madam Speaker. But also, I think this Pharmacy Plus program is going to be really key, and I think pharmacies are going to be a really key part of our patient medical homes. And I think it really bears repeating what a patient medical home is. I know that one of the trickiest parts of government, and being an MLA in general, is communicating government programs to constituents. And the way I like to put it is a patient medical home means you can make an appointment to see your health team instead of making an appointment to see a doctor directly. And then, of course, the health team will help you out. And if you don't need to see a doctor, you don't have to. It can take advantage of the full scope of practice of nurse practitioners and other health professionals, whether that be nurses, LPNs, or RNs, and also link in physiotherapists and, of course, pharmacists. And so you may have people who think they need to go to the emergency department right now or need to go to a walk-in clinic right now, but if they go to a patient medical home, they can immediately be triaged and referred to go to the pharmacy where they can take advantage of the Pharmacy Plus program. Because not everybody would know that they would qualify for one of those 35 areas right off the bat. So I think this Pharmacy Plus program really is a building block that will allow these other services to, innovative services to build, like patient medical homes and, of course, virtual service with through Maple and more. So I wanted to talk, I guess, a little bit more about patient medical homes and how pharmacies are leaning into them. I wanted to give a big shout out to an organization that's been around for 20 plus years up on the North Shore in the Gulf Shore area of PEI, where I represent, and it's the Gulf Shore Community Health Corporation. And they are an incorporated entity, and they've been advocating, like I said, for 20 plus years to have, originally it was a walk-in clinic, really in the Rustico area. They said the Gulf Shore, right? And in the past, of course, it was all about walk-in clinics, the traditional style that we're used to. But to their credit, they kept on it, and they were persistent, and they were able to adapt. And in 2019, they issued a 10-question survey to all the residents of the area to try and illustrate what the needs were, to collect data that could be given to the Department of Health and Wellness to show what the need was for medical services in the area. And this includes Pharmacy Plus, which of course came in 2022, as well as patient medical home. And they pushed and they worked hard, and the former minister, the now Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, said, yes, I will meet with the Gulf Shore Community Health Corporation. I will review the survey. And he looked at it, and he saw what it supported, and he saw that it supported Pharmacy Plus. It supported a patient medical home. And I believe that data was one of the reasons that today we have a patient medical home that's coming into the Gulf Shore area in North Rustico. And it's a huge achievement, and thanks to the former minister and the current minister and the administration. And it's important when we talk about these patient medical homes that we don't overpromise what they're going to. And we set the right expectations, and so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing in my community, because there's going to be a transition period. Okay. So far, again, pharmacies are playing a key role. So the patient medical home coming into North Rustico, it was the Atlantic Medical Properties Limited that won the RFP, and or AMP for short, that's the acronym. And in fact, they are directly related to and owned by Murphy's Pharmacies, and they've been able to, they're the ones who are going to make this happen. Now, there's going to be a transition period. First of all, it has to be built, and as we know, that can be challenging. So right now, I think the most optimistic time frame for for it to open would be, January 2025. But I think it's really important that we're upfront with everyone involved. And if that's the most optimistic deadline, then let's say, by the fall of, say, 2025, in case there's deadlines. They've got to go through design, they've got to go through architecture, engineering, they've got to build it, and, barring any difficulties. Plus, then Atlantic Medical Properties is going to build it. They're not going to run it, although they have that ability. They run a patient medical home over in Stratford. Then they need to turn it over to Health PEI, and Health PEI has to get it outfitted up. So that's one thing I would say I really want to do, is I want to set proper expectations, and that's what I'm going to communicate to my constituents.
It's got to be done by the end of this year.
And in the meantime, when it comes to help, Pharmacy Plus is a great option. So the other thing is, during this transition period, it's called a clinic in North Rustico, but it's actually only open to patients of the doctor that's there. We do have a couple of issues going on there, and for example, sometimes there are people who are at this medical center, and you can see them inside and they're there, but the door is locked and no one's being allowed in, and that doesn't quite send the right message. So, I think that it's a sort of a common sense thing that we need to work on, and I'm working with the Minister of Health and Wellness on this to see if we can improve some of these things, and we need to make sure that obviously the recs, which have been open for some time now to fill the positions that are needed for the patient medical home, gets filled, and that's happening too, and I think that it's up to all of us, when we're out and about and we're talking to people and we're especially making off-island connections, we continue to recruit people to those positions. But, Madam Speaker, I did want to talk more, giving one more final thank you through the Gulf Shore Community Health Corporation. I'd like to talk more about this idea of virtual care and how it can really be integrated with Pharmacy Plus and pharmacies on the island. So everybody knows Maple. And of course, Maple is not, the definition of virtual care. It's a provider of virtual care, telemedicine in Canada. And I think there's a massive, massive opportunity to expand beyond the video conference or telephone with a doctor to get to and use devices that will allow for true remote examinations. And all of this information, I should mention, is on bradtrivers.com if anyone wants to go and take a look at it. It's great. I would encourage you all, go to my website, subscribe. Some great posts coming up there. Some things you might have heard in the House. But,
Shameless.
but I wanted to talk in particular, so CADTH, C-A-D-T-H, it's the Canadian, it's a Canadian research team. They did a paper in September 2023 talking about virtual care and remote examination, specifically in technology that supports it. And listen to this. So this is Tidal Care, which is a company that makes these devices. Handheld solution that enables on-site medical staff or patients to conduct medical exams remotely with a clinician for accurate diagnoses. Listen to heart and lung sounds. Look in the ear canal, throat, blood pressure, blood oxygen levels, weight, and more. So this technology exists. It's there, right? And so if you had the Pharmacy Plus program, you had the room in the pharmacy with not just Maple, but you had these devices. And I'd encourage you, again, go to tidalcare.com and look at them. You can see these devices. They exist. They're there. We can really make a dent into these bottleneck areas. And as I say, I think Pharmacy Plus is the launching pad for this, and our pharmacies as well. So, Madam Speaker, I would encourage everybody to talk about this and look into it and, help lobby for it. I believe in the Department of Health and Wellness there is a group that looks at innovative things like this, and I'd love to hear more about that from the Minister of Health and Wellness. Hopefully he will speak to this. And one last other innovative idea that has been coming to me more and more often right now is people who say, you know, seniors in particular are ones that have a hard time when they have to go online and try and skip the waiting room to book for going to a clinic because they don't necessarily have those online skills. Or they have to go and wait in the cold for a clinic to open up because they want to get in line to make sure they don't get that spot, and they just don't have the rigor to do that. And even with Pharmacy Plus, if it's very crowded and packed, there can be long waits there, but the idea is one we could steal from Access PEI. And we know that at Access PEI, for example, I believe at the Charlottetown location, it's Tuesday mornings are seniors only. So you know that if you're a senior, you can go Tuesday morning. It's not going to be packed. It's not going to be crowded. You're not going to be waiting for hours and hours. It's dedicated to you, the staff that are expecting seniors, the expectation. You don't have someone, you know, behind you who's saying, that senior's taking so long, I just need to get to work, what's going on, you know. And maybe that's something we can do with our pharmacies, our walk-in clinics, and maybe even these Maple rooms. And we can partner between the Department of Health and Wellness. Maybe it could be at Access PEIs even. The Department of Transportation, Infrastructure, Health and Wellness, and Social Development and Seniors, and say, hey, we're going to offer priority health for seniors at these locations at these specific times, so you know that you can go there and get there. So I'll throw that out, and maybe that's something that some staff and government can take a look at to see, because obviously, Madam Speaker, there's pros and cons to any idea, and I know often I might be accused of coming up and looking at the pros through a rosy lens, but I know there's lots of people in government who will throw out the cons. So, Madam Speaker, I believe that exploring these programs I've spoken of, as well as with the implementation of new and modernized measures, we can really have truly extraordinary impacts on the ability of islanders to access health care in a quick and timely manner. And the health services that have been made to islanders, especially Pharmacy Plus, are changing what healthcare looks like for islanders in an incredible way. And Madam Speaker, I was just reminded of another nonprofit organization that's being innovative, and this is the Sterling Women's Institute at the Stanley Bridge Hall. And what they're doing is they've applied for a bunch of Living Well PEI grants through the Department of Health and Wellness, which is fantastic. Again, it's hard to connect sometimes organizations with government programs. And they're doing things like free meals, hot meals. They're doing cooking, like how to cook with a slow cooker. They're doing yoga classes, all these sorts of things. But they said, you know, what we'd really like to do is we would like to have a health day, maybe once or twice a week, again, maybe targeting seniors during the day, where seniors can go and they can check their health statistics. They can do things like take their blood pressure, maybe check their blood sugar, maybe height, weight, temperature, all these things, and record it and build up their own medical record so that they have that. And if they don't have a doctor and they have to go to a medical clinic, they have all those stats and they can show their doctor, look. And so this is the community. This is the Sterling Women's Institute and Jen Steinhaus who's coming up with these ideas and her team. So kudos to them, because this is the sort of community input we need. And I thought it was just a fantastic idea. So I'm sure there's, again, I see the pros. I'm sure there's some cons there. But if we could partner with pharmacies and Pharmacy Plus and have someone from the pharmacy maybe coming into the Stanley Bridge Hall to help with this sort of health check-in day, I think that would really dovetail things well together. And it would be a benefit for the pharmacy, a benefit for the people who could go there. So just another idea. Anyhow, it's pretty clear that Pharmacy Plus, as this motion supports, has alleviated pressures on emergency departments. It has assisted islanders who've lost a family doctor in the past, and it has given medical advice to people who arrived on PEI or those who have been waiting on the provincial patient registry. Madam Speaker, another thing that comes to mind is I do hope that we are making progress on expanding the doctors that can actually be accessed through virtual healthcare or telemedicine, i.e. Maple. My understanding was only doctors who are certified in the Maritimes that could be accessed through Maple. I hope we're making progress to expand that, out to the rest of Canada. I know the Minister of Health and Wellness works well with his colleagues across Canada, and hopefully we're going to come to an agreement, because that would be massive. It would open up that many more doctors to do that. The other thing, of course, is I really believe Maple should be available free of charge to those who do have a family doctor, not just those who are on the registry. I think I have it in my blog. It was March 7th last year when, in fact, that was the promise that was made. So I hope you're making some progress on that, and that again would just go that much further to removing those bottlenecks at the emergency department, as well as at our walk-in clinics. So, Madam Speaker, I did want to emphasize that although I seem to be singing the praises of government and boasting about the healthcare system, which I think needs to happen more, honestly, right? We're doing some good work. And let me tell you, I'm sure other MLAs would say the same thing. If you are a person who accesses our healthcare system, it is bar none, I would say, the best in Canada. The people in Health PEI in our system do a fantastic job. And it's nice, because I get messages from constituents, and I need to pass them on more, honestly, about how great the care was that they had when they're in our healthcare system. Yes, we have barriers to get in there, but when you're in there, wow, is it ever fantastic. I did want to say that as you can tell, I'm going to continue to advocate for progress needed in our hospitals, and I'm sure everyone else in here will as well, in our family doctor clinics and Health PEI, in our pharmacies, and in every area of healthcare in our province. So, I really am proud to second this motion. I think it's important to talk about. I think it's really important that we communicate the programs that government has out to islanders so that they can take advantage of them, and especially our nonprofit organizations that want to apply to things like Live Well PEI. I think that Pharmacy Plus really is catching on, and people are understanding it. I hope we can continue to expand that, and like I said, get that room in there where people can access Maple, or maybe even help people book at a clinic if the pharmacist can't help them. You do skip the waiting room, and maybe we need to compensate pharmacists for that if they're spending the time to help someone on Maple. Or I'm sure the pharmacists would say, yeah, we're not going to do that for free. And of course, that's what did happen for many years. Is pharmacists, because they are the health professionals that care about people, they did provide a lot of these services for free for years. So I guess that's a good point. Is I think our pharmacists don't get a lot of thank yous, and I do want to say thank you to our pharmacists. Yeah, they're great community members, and they give back a lot. If you need that sponsorship for your sports team or that donation for that community fundraiser, they're always there and helping out. So, for the sake of those living in District 1, for those living in District 27, for the newborn babies, and for those living in our long-term care homes, for every single person who comes to Prince Edward Island, for every single Islander who puts their trust in us as elected members of this House to serve them and support them, I want to thank the honourable member and my colleague from Charlotte and Winslow, the government whip, for bringing forward this motion, and I'm eager to hear what other members of this House have to say on this motion, as well as the Minister of Health and Wellness. So with that, Madam Speaker, I thank you, and I will relinquish the floor.